Hey everyone, it's Laura. Today I thought it'd be fun to record and talk about this layout that I just created. This is my background paper that I've chosen to use. It's an old paper from the October Afternoon Midway line. I do have a couple of these because I really like this paper. And I've selected this picture to scrapbook today. The problem I have with this picture is it's a horrible picture, but it's the only one that I took on this day. And I really wanted to scrapbook this particular day with my husband, and one of the big problems is this big olive colored plastic poncho that he's wearing because it was raining all day, and so it does take up a good portion of the picture, and it makes the picture just look not very fun. So I thought some bright colored paper and also these frames that I cut out might help to break it up a little bit. So I'm going to lay the frames over the picture with the hopes that it'll kind of cover up and detract from the olive poncho. So I'm liking the way that that looks. I also have some die cut pieces that I've gathered and some strips of paper, some banners that I think I'm probably going to use. The background paper doesn't have a lot of color to it, so I am going to go back to it and add a little bit of texture and color. Right now I'm just trying to see where I think I want my pieces to be placed. So I think I kind of like that, but again I do want to add some color and texture to my background paper. So I've decided to use this dot stencil and some modeling paste. So I'm going to go ahead and move the things that I've laid out and put them on the side for now. I'm going to take the modeling paste and the stencil and apply the modeling paste with a paint knife and an old gift card. I'm going to use those to spread it over the stencil. So one of the reasons that this picture is important to me and why I wanted to scrapbook it is because on this particular day I ran a half marathon. My husband didn't run with me, but he went down there anyway, and it was raining and the weather was horrible, it was cold, but he stayed down there with me the entire time while I ran. So it's because of things like that, that I really appreciate him. So I did want to scrapbook this picture, even though it was the only one that I took, and it turned out to not be a very great picture. Hence the reason I needed to cover up part of the plastic poncho. So this is the last spot here that I'm going to go ahead and apply the modeling paste to. I'm just going to clean my tools off, and then I'm going to dry the modeling paste with my heat gun. It dries pretty quickly if you just zap it with your heat gun. I'm impatient, so I want it to dry so that I can go ahead and apply some paint to it. So now my modeling paste is dry enough where I can go ahead and work with it. So I'm going to use a yellow acrylic paint and a bluish color acrylic paint, and I'm going to use a sponge brush to apply the paint because I just want to kind of dab it onto the top of the modeling paste. I don't want it to actually sink down in between my modeling paste dots too much. So I'm just applying very little amounts of paint to the corners. I just want to add a little bit of brightness to my background because it is pretty void of color. So now I'm just going to go ahead and dry the paint really quickly. The acrylic paint dries in no time. And now I'm ready to go ahead and lay out my picture and embellishments again. I was pretty happy with the way I had it the first time, so I'm going to stick to that layout where I have the photo placed over the bluish green papers, and I do like the way the pink and yellow frames break up my photo a bit. It kind of helps to disguise the olive poncho and add some brightness to the picture itself. So I'm going to stick with that, and now I'm just trying to figure out how I want the banner and that little half circle cut placed. At this point I'm thinking about stitching it down, but I'm also thinking about using some pop dots under that half circle just to give it a little bit of dimension. I don't generally like dimensional embellishments on my layout or in my Project Life type page protector sheets because they just take up too much room in an album. So I generally try to shy away from dimensional embellishments, so that's why I'm kind of on the fence about that here. But I am pretty happy with this layout. That little glassine bag there, I want to use to put that tag in because I want to journal on the tag, and I want to keep it tucked away behind the picture and stuff. So right now I'm trying to figure out where exactly I want my photo to be placed. I want that cluster of embellishments on the top to remain in the upper quadrant of my layout, and that photo I want it to be placed in such a way where your eye is really drawn to it. So what I'm trying to do is, if you imagine that your page is divided up into 9 squares, so like a tic-tac-toe board, I want to place my photo so that it's where the right line and the bottom line intersect, if that makes any sense at all. By placing it at the intersection of the line versus in one of the tic-tac-toe squares, your eye tends to be more drawn to that area. So that's why I'm trying to place my photo there. I wanted to have those layering sheets behind my photo lift off a little bit, so I'm just distressing the edges of those sheets so that the corners kind of lift off so it just doesn't look so flat. Now I'm just trying to put a little bit of adhesive down so that my pieces don't move around, because I'm pretty happy with where they are, but I'm still gonna have to tuck things like my journaling tag behind there, so I don't want to completely glue it down to the page yet. So I'm going to move that out of the way. Because my glassine bag is so big, I need to find a way to prevent the tag from sliding all the way into the bag. So I went ahead and I stitched down the middle of that glassine bag so that the tag would stop there. I also decided to go ahead and stitch that cluster of embellishments on the top. So I did both of those with my machine. I'm just taping the thread ends down to the back of my layout so that they don't come undone. I also trimmed the part of the glassine bag off that I didn't need anymore. So now I'm going to go ahead and just adhere my photo and the backing sheets down. Since I already have my glassine bag attached, I'm just going to go ahead and stick those right over it. I'm using my ruler to determine the placement of my photo. Now I'm just lifting the corners of my papers. And I'm going to go ahead and adhere my frames down now. That pink one is really thin, so I'm going to use my tiny attacher to adhere that frame down to my page. The yellow polka dot one, I'm going to use my ATG gun to stick that down. So now I just have that little heart embellishment. I wanted to use that wood veneer car because we drove to the marathon. but I haven't decided where exactly I want to put it yet. I'm going to staple those banners to the left edge of my page, and then I'm going to adhere that little plastic button type piece over it with some tape. I wanted to put the word Saturday somewhere on my layout because this was a Saturday that we were there. I thought I wanted to stamp it, but I changed my mind later and I used a little label with the word Saturday on it. I'm going to go ahead and place my title on my page now, and it says "You Rock." And the reason I chose that as my title is because the marathon series is called the Rock and Roll Marathon. So I wanted the title of my page to be "You Rock." And my letters are adhesive, so I just stick the bottom edge of the letter to my ruler so I can lift them all up and just lay them down where I want them on my layout. And since they're already lined up on the ruler, I can just go ahead and stick them down and pull the ruler out, and my letters are placed nicely. So I'm still messing around with the wood veneer car. I can't figure out where to put it. I did decide that I wanted that little take note label up there at the top, so I went and stuck that down. I used my tiny attacher to put that little heart embellishment down. Now I'm looking at this Saturday stamp, deciding whether I want to use it or not. I decided that it was too big for what I wanted, so I decided not to use it. But I'm going to go ahead and stamp this little arrow on my layout. So here's the little Saturday label that I'm going to use. I like it because the word is much smaller than the stamp that I was going to use previously. I'm just trying to figure out where I want to put it. I end up deciding to put it at the top of that green sheet, sticking out like kind of like a little tab. So I think that I am pretty much done. Here you can see that I've done my journaling on the tag, and I've ended up using the little wood veneer car, and the only other thing I did was put that piece of washi tape down, and the string that I put on my tag was American Crafts twine. So I'm pretty much done with this, and this is my entire layout. Here's a better shot of the completed layout. That's all I have to share with you today. So thanks for watching my video, and I hope you all have a great day. Bye.